Hello and welcome to What Work Teaches. What Would Education are working with the North East Combined Authority to develop a North East evidence base for what works in education. In 2020, we started What Would Education to help teachers to robustly test what works and what does not work for pupils in their schools. One of the key questions when talking about research evidence when speaking with teachers was, will this work in the context of my school? There's excellent resources out there, such as the Education Endowment Foundation Teaching Learning Toolkit, but this provides an overview of best bets of will this approach work. So at What Would Education, we developed a platform which supports teachers to robustly test interventions in a short period of time to see if these show promise. So we use something called a micro RCT. So in this example, for a targeted small group intervention, we ask you to identify a group of target learners. The What Work Teaches platform then randomly allocates these into an intervention and a control group. You complete the pre-assessment task with both groups, and then for the duration of the trial, the intervention group receives this and the control group continues as normal. And then at the end, both groups complete the post-assessment task. When the data is inputted into the What Work Teaches platform, it will then generate an impact report. And if this approach shows promise, you can then open it up to your control group. We then aggregate all the data together from each of the individual trials into an evidence base. So another question that we get asked is it ethical to withhold an intervention from the control group of pupils? Well, we use a waitlist in that the pupils in the control group will have access to the intervention after the post-assessment has been completed. We use typical practice, so pupils undertake teaching learning activities that are similar to usual practice in participating schools. And all data is anonymized, so all pupil data is anonymized by schools prior to sharing on the What Work Teaches platform. So with this, head teacher consent is sufficient to participate in this type of evaluation approach. So how does the What Work Teaches platform work? So it's designed to help educators to set up, implement and test interventions in your school. Time was the biggest barrier from the feedback we've had with working with teachers. So we've now got this down to 3 short videos to help you understand how to use the platform, the research evidence underpinning the intervention, and then how to implement this in your school. We then have an intervention protocol which you can download, which goes through the research question, the design, the sample, the outcome measures, and the analysis. You then have a resource folder which you download, which includes all the materials required to run the intervention. And then we have a trial wizard which guides you through the process of inputting your data and provides an impact report at the end. So let's have a look at how to use the platform. So once you've signed up to the evidence base with your code, you'll then have the interventions, which you will then click. This is a small group targeted approach. What we mean by small group is you need a minimum of 10 students. This would be 5 in the intervention and control. And then once you've signed up, you then have a short welcome video, which you're watching now. We then have a second video, which goes through the intervention, a third video, which goes through the step-by-step process of how to implement the evaluation. You then download the research protocol, which you can print out. And then you have your resource folder, which includes everything you need for the intervention to be delivered. The next thing is you then go to getting started. You add your start date for your trial, your end date, and then you click randomization. The next thing you do is then select the number of students that you're looking to work with. So we do say a minimum of 10, just so that you've got a sample size of 5 in the control, 5 in the intervention. You can, obviously, if it's small group work, have smaller groups for delivering it, but for your sample size, we do require 10 as a minimum. And then once you've done that and it's allocated to intervention control, you then run your pretest, and then you input your pretest data. And then we do, if you have the option of clicking free school meal status, where we can run secondary analyses. And then once you put your pretest data in, you click run trial. And then once you've run the intervention, you do your post-test, and then you just repeat the process by putting in your post-test data. The reason why we do require a minimum of 10 students is if you have a sample of 2 or 3, then you might find that the groups are unbalanced. So there's more chance with 5 students than 2 that it will balance out. So that's the reason why we do have a minimum number. The next thing you do is we ask you to basically complete a quick process evaluation, which just informs us how you've delivered that in your school. And then you click Analyze, and then the system generates an impact report. So in your impact report, it will give you a percentage change for how the interventions worked. You'll also have an effect size, and then right at the very end, it has a record of the data that you've inputted into the platform. Then you click Complete, and then you've just run your first micro RCT. It's really important just to note that we have 2 tabs for the navigation: Available Trials and then My Trials. You only have to sign up for a trial once, and then once you sign up, it will go into the My Trials, and then you just click Continue to continue on with that trial when you log back in. So please only sign up to a trial at once. And what we're trying to do at What Worked Education for building this evidence base is every single time a school replicates and runs an intervention, then we aggregate the data together. So this is an example from the spring term 2 from last year for the year 1 number fluency flashcards, number bonds 1 to 10 TA small group intervention. So you can see how it's working across the different schools and the cumulative effect. So finally, just moving on to data quality. So our mission is to create a teacher-led evidence base that professionals can use to help inform decisions they make about teaching and learning in their school. Therefore, the evidence is only as good as the data that teachers input. So please ensure that you follow the random assignment and that the data you enter is valid. As fellow teachers replicate each evaluation, we aggregate the data together to create a cumulative evidence base. Together we can build something special in education and help improve learning based on evidence-informed decisions. So your next steps is to watch the intervention overview, and thank you again for signing up to your trial.